I want to introduce our first keynote speaker, Josh Woods. Josh is a sociologist at West Virginia University. He's obviously a disc golfer because he played here today. He's an associate professor of sociology at West Virginia University, and his recent research examines the emerging sports communities focusing on disc golf. His blog is called Parked. It's a disc golf think tank. And if you haven't checked it out yet, it's really good information. He's going to share some of that tonight. He's working on a book called Disc Golf: Land, Rise of an Unknown Sport. And he's an active member of the Morgantown Mountain Goats, the West Virginia Disc Golf Association, and West Virginia University Disc Golf Club. So Josh, thanks for coming tonight, and welcome.
Hello, everybody. Let me start this off with a question. How many people here would say you have a positive view of the future of disc golf? Raise your hand. Not one skeptic? So there are 3 reasons why optimism about disc golf makes a whole lot of sense. 1, all of your hands up, right? You gotta have some positive teams to make things happen. 2, not 1, but 2 prominent disc golf observers have recently predicted that disc golf will be bigger than ball golf or traditional golf, more respectfully, I suppose, than by 2026, or in the next 10 years. And the third reason for this is there's quite a bit of evidence of strong growth. In fact, just about every growth chart or data table you can find in disc golf land looks like an Olympic ski jump, right? Small on the left, big on the right. I'm not sure I'd want to go off that one. Everyone knows about the rise of disc golf courses. We see exponential growth. It means is increasing over years, especially about the mid-2000s. Pretty amazing stuff. Everyone knows about the active PDGA membership on the upward incline. Probably the most interesting thing is the number of PDGA events. The number of PDGA events in the last 10 years increased by 350%. My own research focuses on how disc golf is portrayed in the media, and I've done a pretty extensive study of this. And one interesting thing that came out is the number of local newspaper articles that contains the word disc golf or frisbee golf has tripled in the last 20 years. Again, more interesting evidence. Yep, so let's party. Well, I am a big optimist. I do think there are some things that we should consider before we get too carried away. One is research on other sports, research on team sports, on other forms of outdoor recreation, some of it very close to disc golf. This stuff is actually flatlining, and in some cases declining. Everyone in here has a video game console and a television set in their pockets. If disc golf is really rising, it's bucking the trend. People are on their screens and their couches. They're sitting inside. We need to get them outside, of course, but that's at least one question mark. Another question mark is there is some research on disc golf and related activities that suggests that there's a number of social constraints. Social constraints related to gender, related to race, related to region of the country. Disc golf isn't everywhere perfectly spread across the country. And that's some of the issues I want to talk a bit more about today. That's my cue here. So again, and then one more thing is most of the research we do have, the data that we rely on, comes from the PDGA. And as everyone knows, the PDGA is a relatively small group compared to the total disc golfer population that involves recreational disc golfers, kids that would probably spend their afternoon here at the camp here. So why don't you hit that? With all these question marks, one of the things I was curious about is this broader population of disc golfers. Who's out there? Is this group really growing? We know the PDGA is, but is everybody picking up the plastic? We thought about a number of different ways to study disc golfers, and we ended up turning to social media. What we did is took 123 US Facebook groups that referred to disc golf somewhere in their title or in their description. And we took this out of the total population. We did our best to find all the Facebook groups that existed for disc golf back in 2017, about 3213. So each one of these groups had an equal opportunity to be sucked up in this sample. And we went into each group, we randomly selected profiles or disc golfers from that group, and that gave us a total of 2,551 disc golfers. And for each of them, we looked at publicly available information involving state of residence, sex, race, education, date of birth. And we went a little further. We wanted to get not just an understanding of kind of the demographic breakdown, this kind of portrait of who's who in disc golf, but get a sense of how involved people are. How do we do this? We looked pretty much at whatever was available. We took names and cross-checked it with the PDGA directory, past or present member. We have a profile or cover photo, disc golf related. A lot of people like this on Facebook. We looked at timelines, page likes. Everyone was a member of a group, but some were a member of mini groups. We looked at that. Proportion of groups. One more. So this is basically what I would look like if you took a look at my profile. I scored a 6. My daughter was filling up my timeline entries. We only looked at the first 10 of them. You might be saying, wait a second, why are you looking at Facebook? This doesn't tell us anything about what people actually do outside in the woods with plastic. That's a good critique, so this is how we try to figure it out. We took the subsample of the group that were PDGA members, and we looked up their PDGA rating, and then we looked at the correlation or the relationship between their rating and their disc golf involvement index. So if we found this correlation, we would think that this involvement index may not be a direct measure of actually playing, but it's a pretty good predictor. So let's move on to hopefully something that's slightly more fun. Instead of going over the findings of the study, I thought we would make a game of it. There are wonderful, fabulous prizes. You gotta be careful on this one. You can't show them the actual answer. So let's get a question up there, or So our first topic is gender. I need a volunteer. I need a total of 4 volunteers. 1 volunteer to start us out. You can answer not 1, but 2 questions in a row. You win a fabulous prize. Can I have a volunteer? Yes. What's your name? Mike is our first. Let me see the question, other Mike. Okay, between 1999 and 2017, the percentage of women among PDGA members ranged from 6 to 8%. Is the percentage of women in the general disc golfer population greater or less than 6 to 8%? Help them out. Greater. So easy, yes. Mike, well done. That was an early clap. You've got to do 2 in a row.
Come on, Mike.
This is the big time. Okay, Mike, you ready? So we have just 6 to 8% of women in the PGA, but outside of this, when we include the recreational group, we have double that, about 15%. Let's get to 2 out of 2 for Mike. Question comes up. All right, Mike, sociologists. Are you a sociologist? No. Okay, you're at a disadvantage. Sociologists have linked women's lower levels of participation in outdoor recreation. Remember, there's not much research on disc golf yet. On outdoor recreation to what? A, perceived constraints like a shortage of time, health, transportation, distance to the park, and cost. B, gender roles. C, media myths involving women's safety. Or D, all of the above.
I gave it to him after he answered.
Did he say D?
Yeah.
Nice work. A birdie bag coming at you. Try to find something that wouldn't hurt people as I threw it. I need another volunteer. Can I have another volunteer? Someone's wondering. This guy right here. What's your name? Brian. Okay, Brian is up. Now be careful on these answers. Don't give anything away. This is big merchandise. All right, we're moving to another topic. The topic is race. Question number 3. Previous studies suggest that racial minorities make up 5% of the competitive disc golf population. This is kind of like samples that come mostly from PDGA members. Is the percentage of racial minorities in the general disc golfer population greater or less than 5%?
Greater, yes.
Greater, he says. Let's see if he's got it. That's one. That's one. So again, as we move a little bit further outside of the competitive realm of disc golf and the PDGA, again, we see a more diverse group appearing here, both in gender and race. Do we have, okay, yes, next question. Although racial minorities are underrepresented in the disc golfer population, those who do play are just as involved in the sport as whites. True or false? True? What is going on here? That is correct. I'm losing money. This is actually, I think, one of the most interesting findings. And it wasn't true for gender, unfortunately. Women are both underrepresented in the population as well as have a significantly lower level involvement. But when it comes to race, skin color doesn't seem to matter. It might mean that some of the constraints to playing for racial minorities involve kind of getting into the sport. Maybe the constraint comes at the entry points, but once they're in, they're in. And that's, I think, a good news for disc golf. Let's go to, we have another topic. I need another volunteer. Right over here. What's your name? Cameron? All right, Cameron, here's your question. We're moving to age. My favorite topic because I'm so old. The average age of traditional golfers in the U.S. is 54. Is the average age of disc golfers greater or less than 54? Less than. Let's see if he's got it. All right, that is one correct answer. Yes, when it comes to age, we are incredibly diverse. We should hang our hats on this. It's incredible. About a mean age of 30, 33, nice distribution of ages. It's fantastic. Okay, next question. Among adults, involvement in disc golf tends to increase with age. Older disc golfers actually have a higher level of involvement. True or false? True. Sleeping over here. What's going on? True. I really imagine this going down in a very different way. Nice work. All right, one more topic. Just bring the topic up. Okay, yeah, you can bring the whole question. I need another volunteer, though. What's your name? Jen. Jen is up. We're working on region. Pop us a question. Number 7, which U.S. Census region has the highest number of disc golfers per capita? This isn't the total number of disc golfers. This is the total number of disc golfers per 100,000 residents. Northeast, West, Midwest, South. You're saying Midwest? Midwest? Sure, the answer? You guys went 7 for 7. Unbelievable. All right, next question. In fact, last question. Disc golfers from the Midwest tend to be less involved in the sport than disc golfers in the Northeast, South, and West. True or false? Hearing a true over here. You're saying false? Show the answer. It is true. Jen, I have to tell you, I'm a liar. It's not a redeeming quality for a disc golfer, but you got one right. So, here you go. All right, I think this is actually a really interesting finding, but I don't really know what it means. One possibility is that disc golf is growing really fast in the Midwest, and because it's growing fast, there's lots of new disc golfers, and they tend to, on average, have a lower level of involvement in the sport. If you have some other clues, please come talk to me. I'd love to hear them. Involvement is this measure I showed you before. There's 8 indicators of involvement that we measured online. Right? We looked at your Facebook profiles. We saw that these profiles are also correlated with PDGA ratings. So this doesn't actually mean that if you just go and like a bunch of stuff on Facebook, you're going to throw better, but there is a correlation, so it's kind of a predictor of it. So it's our ability to show people's involvement. Some are not very involved in, some are really into disc golf. Oops, sorry, how's it going? Let's go to our last slide here. Just as, here's basically what I just told you. These are kind of the bullets from what came from the study. But what I would leave you with is, I'm an optimist. Everyone here is an optimist as well. This ball may be the next big thing, the fastest growing sport. But to keep it moving in this direction, to keep it flowing, I think we need to think not only about what's pushing our sport forward, but what's holding it back. If we could get more women in the sport, more racial minorities, and more young people, even the highest expectations for disc golf would make sense and connect with empirical reality. Thank you guys very, very much. We don't have time for questions. If you're interested in writing about disc golf, please contact me. Look me up. I'm looking for writers. Thanks again.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for coming today.